Yo, this your boy Monster Harrell. We back with another episode with the real you with Monster. I am the monster. Like I said, Montrez Harrell himself. We got a special guest here. Another person who is, his introduction speaks volume for itself, man. I'm gonna kind of let him do his introduction on his own. He's a guy that I was blessed to be able to meet along my path of basketball and my training, and being able to meet genuine people like this is very rare to come by. So I'm glad for you to be here, Jay Cook. I thank you for being here, brother. But introduce to the people and let the people know who you are.
Man, thank you for having me, Montrez,
For
man.
sure.
Pleasure. Yeah, man, my name is Jerred Cook. Man, born and raised in Carson, California. LA kid in terms of basketball being the number one thing that I grew up doing. Fortunate enough to play for some great coaches. I played for Dwan Hurt up at Sarah High School. You might know Poole Jetter,
Hmm.
one of our famous alumni from that school. But Dwan Hurt was instrumental in my development and a bunch of young men. From that point, playing basketball, we was able to win. And man, man, growing up in LA, going up Sarah High School, basketball dreams. Obviously, it was everything that you would have wanted. Play for storybook program, Sarah High School. We won a lot of games. Played against some pros, Grant Jerred, Alan Crabb. Uh, Guys that played in the league now. Julius Randle. I'll never forget going up and playing against him at the National Prep Classic. Uh, I played with a bunch of guys that actually went off to college, and my journey was a little bit different. I had goals and aspirations of being a D1 player because I felt like I played with D1 guys, and along my journey. It didn't work out that way. I went to Northern Arizona out of high school. I got some academic money to go there and talk to the coaches. And I was supposed to walk on. Long story short, coaches get fired. They offered me a position to be a manager. Like I just talked about, the aspirations and the love for the game. I didn't stand for it, so I went junior college and got it out that way. Used my first year as a redshirt year. Changed my whole game. I put on 15 pounds. I was in the gym a lot and really started to find myself as a player, and kind of everything started to really click for me. I was third in the state in 3-point percentage that next year. And within those 2 years, while I was at Cypress College, I was able to earn a scholarship to the NAI level. Bellevue University out in Nebraska. So LA kid going all the way out to Nebraska and Omaha. It was a eye opener to say the least. But it helped me, I think, in all spaces to be able to navigate where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could be in any room.
Right.
And that's a credit to, I think, all my experiences. From there, I got back to winning. I won CIF when I was in high school. And I think LA basketball is at the top of the level. So if you're winning any championship, in LA or California basketball, really, I think you guys are having a great season. But going off to my 4th year at the NAI level, we went to the national tournament 2 years in a row, and then my senior year went to the Final Four. So being able to, I believe, exasperate my options, my level of pedigree to be able to play this game and stretch it out to get a scholarship and come out of school debt free. I maximized what I was supposed to do. And then from there, man, I was fortunate enough to, because of the basketball community, I went to a couple basketball camps growing up, and one was UCLA basketball camp. Doug Erickson, who's still there now, basketball operations, he introduced me to Rico Hines after I worked for him all summer. Rico Hines took me under his wing, and I think the rest is history from there. In terms of everything else that was able to transpire. The game of basketball has taken me all over the world, from Japan to Africa to now me being a head coach before the age of 30. I'm blessed. I'm thankful. I wouldn't have any of my experiences changed for where I am now to be able to see it come full circle.
That's dope. That's dope, man. That's one of the hardest introductions that we gonna probably get right there. I'm telling y'all, man. I'm telling y'all. So, it's dope because leading into my next question is, what for you? What does it mean to be a kid from California? Carson, but the whole California basketball scene itself. Like, what does that mean to you?
I think, and obviously I'm a little biased, but I think this is the best basketball that young athletes can see growing up. From the talent level, from the size, from the style of play of how we play out here with the shot clock. Um, I think you really get a glimpse of not maybe so much of some college programs, but really the next level after that. Um, I think in general there's a certain pride, that comes from playing basketball in this area. So many schools, as you may know, but to be or play at some of the prominent ones or play in the big tournaments, those hold weight, I would say. So I think it means a lot, from the top level, obviously in the NBA, and how many guys that are from California all the way down. I think if, and how the basketball community is so small, you can't be, just, a bad teammate here or there and that dot get around versus, you obviously adding value to whatever program that you're a part of.
Sure, sure, sure. So, my next question, which is definitely great hearing you say that. So, the different levels. So, I'm a kid from the East Coast, so where you play at is like where you kind of grow up at. You feel me? Like the county that you in, that's kind of how we move. We got, I think, in my city up to 3A.
Okay.
Yeah, I think y'all kind of go up to what, like 7A or something like that.
Yeah, it's like you got 1A and then you got 1AA. I think it all the way goes up to 6 or 7. Yep.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. But y'all got one, like y'all got AA. Like, so it's over that. Like, yeah, so that's wild. But that, like, even with that, like, my next question is like, out of all that, you had to see like some like wild talent and wild players, you feel me, just from being out of the state of California, just from, growing up out here, you feel me?
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the players that you've seen that, to this day, it stuck with you? Like, yeah, I seen him play in high school. Like, he really like had that work back then. Like, it ain't nothing new. So
yeah, no, that's huge, man. So I would say, and I graduated high school in 2012. So, entering high school, ball is life era was crazy, mixtapes all over the place. So, Drew Holiday, DeMar DeRozan, that's right at the top of the list, I would say, first, in terms of when I was entering in high school. They were, kind of finishing off, and I definitely seen a game, going back. I would actually credit my father. He took me to some games at Dominguez High School growing up. Seen Tyson Chandler. I seen Tayshaun Prince. Guys that obviously were prominent in that time at Dominguez. But for myself, in terms of actually when I started to really love the game, it was Drew Holiday, DeMar DeRozan, Larry Drew. Jordan Hamilton was huge in the world. The guys that I was able to play against was like Grant Jerred. Stanley was a little bit below me, but played against him. I think he had a storybook California high school basketball career. Who else? Alan Crabb, Richard Solomon, Justin Cobbs. I can go on and on. It was a heavy list of players, and then obviously, man, like I talked about earlier, Pooh Jeter, right? So that led me right into just the foundation and all those guys, Bobby Brown and Trevor Reza, the Fairfax Westchester rivalry was so huge, and I grew up in the South Bay area. So, that wasn't a home school for me, but everybody knew about those rivalries. Right. So to come full circle and kind of know some of those guys that played in those games, kind of kept that thing going. I was fortunate enough to know a couple guys in my era, Matthew Grant. Renardo Sidney was right before him, and at Fairfax, and then at Westchester you had Dwayne Poley, Jordan Mays. These guys. Obviously you might have seen them still playing in the Drew and different places around, but growing up, those were the guys that got the mixtapes and who you want to be around and where you want to play your games.
That's hard. That's tough. So my next question is, with that, like, what is probably like, you said that Westchester Fairfax,
right?
That was a big one.
That was a big rivalry.
What's one like that you really seen that's like still hold weight to this day?
Yeah, still hold weight to this day.
Yeah.
I would say it kind of changes a little bit, especially just because of the landscape of how high school basketball was.
Yeah.
But the older generation, they would say, the what is it? Sarah High School versus Verb and Day.
Okay.
That's an old school matchup.
Okay.
Like I just talked about, the Westchester Fairfax. One that I grew up playing in was Sarah High School versus Bishop Montgomery.
Okay.
Crosstown rivalries that aren't too far. I think, now you have leagues that are heavy top to bottom with like St. John Bosco and Mater Dei, or those schools in those areas.
So what is, so let's talk a little bit about that, like the era of that you've seen and kind of how they had it, like what you said, like basically the era of how it was back then.
Right.
How was it with the playing? You feel me? Like, how was it when guys kind of came up as far as school as to how it is now? You see guys getting NIL deals. You see guys that like don't even have to kind of like go to high school or nothing like that. They can kind of go to a prep school where they just play basketball. You feel me? Like, and it works, and they go to college. I don't know how it is now. So like, tell me your thoughts from it, from like that aspect of back then LA versus what you see now.
Wow. Nah, man. Back then, there were so many more rules. If you transferred high schools, you had to like change addresses. Families had to move. There had to be reasons. And then even beyond that, you had to sit out.
Right. Oh, okay.
So if a player's transfer high school, he might have missed the whole year.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Eligibility.
Oh, that's tough.
Playing. So there was some heavy stipulations when it came to really transferring, or if you decided to do that. There had to be some things that you made happen. You had to get approval from CIF, which is the California Federation. Now guys are transferring different high schools, kind of teaming up with their buddies.
Right.
I've seen kids play for 2 different high schools in the same season before.
That's tough. I ain't seen that. I ain't seen that.
You talk about NIL deals at a young age, man. I think back to, the viral moments that were when we were in high school, or Facebook, or at that time it was like Vine and different things. And man, like, it is on a larger scale where it's so much more accessible to any athlete.
Yeah.
I felt like at that time you had to be overly athletic, breaking rims, doing something crazy, crossing somebody over, highlight tape, or really putting the ball in the basket at an extremely high clip to get a Ball is Life, hoop mixtape, whatever it was.
Agreed.
And nowadays, man, there's 2 to 3 videographers at every game.
Yeah.
No matter how good that kid is, no matter who's in the crowd, any of those types of things. So that's the biggest thing. So I would say that because of that, and I think California was ahead of it, they started to move the bigger schools with the bigger schools. So the teams that are actually recruiting or getting transfers, doesn't matter the size anymore. If that's a good basketball team, they're going to play against other good basketball teams or bigger schools. So I think that in itself has continued to level up the game of basketball out here. And, you just talked about it. I think this is always a destination for families to move to, for kids to get the notoriety and or really just the eyes that they deserve on their skill set. So players are coming out here from different states to get the same notoriety that they may not have been able to find if they stayed where they previously were from. So high school basketball in California is always a hotbed. I recruit here heavily now, and I will stand by that you will find some great talent all the way through the state.
So I'm glad you hit on that. Tell me the story of how you linked up with Rico. Like tell me that story, because you, even with you mentioning like you heavily recruit, you feel me, like to be able to like get in the position that you're in now. Like tell me like that whole process of how it came about. You feel me? Because it seems like it kind of just hand to hand worked out, man. With just working with Rico and being with Rico all the time and mentoring and learning under him. It just kind of transpired. So just tell me that story, how that went.
No, yeah, for sure. Super organic, real organic in that space of how it even happened. Like I talked about, I did an internship at UCLA right before I graduated, college, and it was to stay close to the game. And I worked basketball camps to kind of just learn all the nuances of obviously coaching and different things, but more in the terms of managing a program and everything else. So during that time, I was fortunate enough to meet Doug Erickson and rekindle the relationship that I had as a player. Now on the back end, about to graduate, I worked for him all summer, and he basically told me, I don't know anything on the court. If you want to stay on the court, but if you want to learn more behind the scenes, I can help you. But he kind of said it just like this: if you want to learn anything on the court, I could take you upstairs to my guy Rico. And I didn't know too much about it. You might have heard the stories of pros playing up at UCLA, or didn't know when that was, didn't know where exactly this happened. I just maybe have passed through that gym before. So I go up there and I'm introduced to Rico. And at that time, I end up having and seeing Blake Hamilton in there, who's cousins with Isaac Hamilton, and Daniel and Jordan, all those guys. But I had a relationship with Blake from being a basketball player in LA community. And, we actually went to college together at NAU for the first year. So coming full circle, meeting Rico, I was just thrown into the fire just working. And as that relationship and, for me just wanting to continue to learn the game of basketball at the highest level, he was working guys out. I can't even really picture everybody that was in the gym at that time. He didn't care who you were. He treated everybody the same. It was super genuine. But I think we were working on a pre-draft group at that time. And I was just the guy that, showed up, helped rebound, play defense, whatever it was in that space that can kind of contribute to the environment. And I felt like a newbie to the game of basketball or anything like that. So I've been around high-level basketball. And because I felt like I played with high-level players on my high school team and college and played with, a college NAIA, All-American and different things, I knew what it was to be around better guys. So I found my role, rebounding, passing, and in that pocket, we started to develop a relationship organically, where he started to take to me because of, I believe, my hard work, because of, and I'm sure he did, he probably asked around about me, and that's what I talk about with the basketball community, of being able to check behind and see who you really are. And I felt like I checked out for him. Full circle, not even knowing the relationship he had with Pooh Jeter, I think that cemented things with me. But I worked with him, my very first year, just rebounding and kind of saying, like I said, just whatever he needed me to do. Wiping floors. That was the first year I seen like the best basketball of my life. Right? Like, and I remember very, very vividly as I was working a basketball camp, you know, you got to take the kids to lunch.
Right.
So I walk our kids down to lunch, but they're telling us, hey, you got to go out this door. Don't go out this door, right? Because I'm like, who behind that door, right? So remember dropping my kids off and running back upstairs because I'm so in tune to the game. And, you know, I was going back to my senior year of college basketball. So I'm still in the mindset of being a player and getting the most out of it. Really just, you know, the basketball dreams really taking over. And it was Russell Westbrook in there, you know, about to work out right after, you know, kicking guys out, kicking the players out the gym and everything else. And that was in that moment where I knew I had to be in there.
Yeah.
I knew this is where I needed to be. And, you know, the summer goes by, you know, I'm a fly on the wall, I'm rebounding, I'm wiping floors, I'm passing, I'm doing whatever's needed that year. And then, you know, I'm in contact with Rico, and he kind of takes me under his wing. And he challenges me to learn about the game of basketball. As he goes off to his team, you know, I'm locked into still trying to do the best that I can as a basketball player, coach, whatever that is. So I'm working out. I do a little tour in Mexico, still trying to get a pro contract. At the same time, I'm refereeing heavy. I'm hustling, right? Staying close to the game. And then that next year, that next summer or off season, I really, really locked in with Rico. As I believe this is the year that Pascal ends up winning Most Improved Player. So, you know, that summer in itself, that off season, that grind, seeing that firsthand, you know, like I said, Rico kind of pulled me under his wing and confided in me. And in that same space, I think I helped him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wasn't a big guy in terms of social media, in terms of having his voice be anything other than what it is. And I was a guy that anytime he said something, taking notes because it was that valuable to me. But I knew that if it was that valuable to me, I know somebody else could benefit from this. So I'm telling Rico, man, you gotta put this up. You gotta record this. You gotta do whatever. And I think this needs to be out. And it took him a year. I think it took others to kind of record us first. And we didn't really have control over it or what got out and different things. And it got to a space where things was on YouTube, and I didn't know, he didn't know. But I believe our relationship grown from that, and he allowed for me to take over his Instagram and push him on that side. And I ended up being, I believe, his younger space that helped bridge the gap. Because, you know, he's special. Rico Hines is, I think he, you know, takes over rooms because of his personality. He impacts and adds value in every space. And I was able to see that firsthand, gravitate to it, learn aspects, add it to myself, and, you know, put it out there on his social media, I think allowed the world to see truly who he is. But I was able to see that firsthand, the genuine connections that he had with the players. And he always was in a space where he was always helpful. Any questions that I had, after every workout, if I had questions, hey, why we do this? He'll break it down to me. Write my notes. I'm taking the notes down. And he was always in a space where he didn't tell me to look at this as a trainer. You're a coach, Jerred. And he would say it just like that. Because after they leave you, they're going back to a coach. You know, you got to be able to look at things in that perspective. And I think he helped cement that aspect of me being a coach. You know, I was kind of floating around in terms of hustling, and whether that was just doing workouts here and there, clinics, and refereeing versus actually trying to find and cement myself as a coach, finding my voice, helping the youth or helping whoever I am with, you know, reach their goals. And it snowballed from there, man. It really just took off.
That's dope. That's dope, man. That's wild. I didn't really I didn't know you played Mexico. I didn't know that. How was that? How was the time in Mexico?
It was a great experience. You know, I wouldn't say I had the best basketball career. I'm a 6-foot guard, you know, that can shoot it. But after that, you know, I'm not attacking the rim, not really athletic. You know, it was an eye-opener for me. You know, it's politics and it's a grind in every aspect. And you know, I salute every pro that takes that journey. It just wasn't for me.
Right.
I believe that God had better plans for me, and making money in that route was not going to be the way for me.
Right.
So I chose to find something else close to the game and still that could fill that void of still adding value and pursuing that love.
That's dope. That's dope, man, and that's big to actually understand. You feel me? Because that hooper in all of us, we never want to let the game go, especially when you dribble that ball. You feel me? You in between those lines. You play with the high caliber guys and been a part of those teams, man. So for you to have to understand where you at and where things are transitioning, man, that's big, bro. Man, it definitely just leads right into my next question. Like, how did it come about where you stepped into a head coaching job?
Yeah, you talked about it, man. I think I was fortunate enough and blessed to pivot earlier, uh, to I guess let go of that hoop dream and kind of figure out how I can make it work still. um, Started off as just with my relationships of being in the gym up at UCLA and the different people that came through there. Was able to meet with certain people that became other mentors that I would reach out to. And I wanted to try to get on as fast as I can as a college coach, as an NBA somewhere, but I had no experience. Right, didn't play high level college, didn't play in the NBA, can't walk into those jobs. So I actually went back to my alma mater, Sarah High School. I coached the freshman team, but at that time I was still, training. So using the gym, training varsity guys, training a couple of JV guys that made it to varsity. Some of my things that I felt like at that level, small scale, but I trained a freshman that got moved up to JV. I trained somebody that was on JV that got moved up to varsity. So when you talk about player development and trying to use the things that I learned at the top and finally using in my own space, I was able to kind of find some success. But I always, when I was at that high school, I was still fortunate enough to meet guys as we was doing training, and one of the guys was Frank Robinson.
Okay, yeah.
Frank was going, towards the end of his career and everything else, and the owner district. He took me under his wing. He sent me to Japan.
Yeah.
Grateful for it. Where I worked 10 clinics, 8 days, high level basketball, teaching the game. And this was the aspect of training, doing clinics that I really enjoyed. Beyond beyond the language barrier, the energy and the love of the game, man, transcended beyond, us being able to just communicate.
For sure.
So that was huge to see. And funny at the same time.
What was that JV record though? We ain't about to skip that.
Oh, come on, man.
No, way up.
Let me make sure you heard me on this, man.
What was that JV record?
19-1.
Okay.
19-1.
Thank
you.
It all leads into that,
yes,
this
sir.
coaching. So
yes, sir. It does.
Okay.
It does.
Okay.
And I came back from Japan, boom, and like you said, finished off that coaching year at Sarah High School. From then, I was fortunate to meet some great people. My athletic director now, Sean Harris.
Yeah.
I trained his son, Dominic Harris.
Okay.
Who was at Gonzaga, currently at LMU right now.
Dope.
And I believe he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time of being a college coach, as he was taking over a program and trying to build something out in Irvine, California that maybe nobody really knew about.
All right.
And I took the jump, the risk, I would say, in betting on myself as well, as he offered me a job to be associate head coach at Westcliff University. So my first year, I was actually the associate head coach, the first assistant, and that was my first real opportunity to, be a college coach. During this time, I'm still training, right? My connections to UCLA still extended. So I was training Prince Ali and Jalen Hines. So I was going back and forth, still driving up there at night, training those guys and doing that. And I think that helped me to understand the college level of what they needed. And then as I transitioned actually being a coach. So my first year as associate head coach, we were 4-26. Yeah. I stand on that record.
Was getting taxed.
Yeah. And as I came into that year,
What division is that?
That's NAIA.
Okay,
Yeah.
Boys putting that sport on y'all.
Yeah, it was a rough year.
Yeah, that's all them boys that's grinding for it right there. That's killers.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
I wasn't a part of that recruiting class.
Right.
I actually got the assistant job, middle of the summer going into, the school year. And we coached the best we could.
Right.
And we did the best we did.
For sure.
Fortunate enough after that year to get the head coaching opportunity. But COVID hits.
Okay.
So literally March, I believe 2020, I get the head coaching job and, COVID hits right after.
Right.
So I don't get to coach that next year, just recruit. I'm recruiting through phones, and obviously during this time I'm still doing all my training.
Right.
Rico, pre-drafts, everything else. So that never stopped. So I believe I kept getting better as a coach, even though I'm not technically on the court, coaching a team, going to a bunch of basketball games still. I'm still watching a bunch of basketball. So that next year after that, I finally get to coach, and we go 9-13. So I double our win total. We were one game short from going to the conference playoffs. We were voted to come in last place. We come in 7th place. So it's progress, but I'm definitely not happy.
Yeah.
And I hit the ground running again with recruiting. And again through relationships and everything else. I was fortunate enough to bring in a great squad, a great group of individuals that bought in. And then that next year, we actually go 18-9. So again, I double my win total. Yeah. It's huge in that space, and we actually go on a 10-game win streak. We make school history. We win our conference tournament championship. Mm-hmm. We were voted to come in 5th place that year, and we came in 3rd. And again, we go to the national tournament. We're putting the school on a space that they've never been at the NAIA level. Now, we've only been in the conference for 3 years. Now, this year we experienced the same success. We had our best regular season record. We finished off our season 16-9. At the end of the regular season, voted again. I'm not sure why we keep getting in space. We were voted to come in 4th place this year. And we actually came in 2nd. And again, adding value, breaking records. We had a bunch of individual records within our team success this year. Fortunately or unfortunately, we lost on a tip in. We was on the wrong side of March Madness this year. Yeah. But it happens. Right. And I'm grateful for what I'm most grateful for is this is my 3rd group of seniors that will be walking the stage, that can say that they played for me, that have actually, I believe, not only had their best, year on the court statistically, but have grown as young men. Right. And I think that's huge.
That's big. That's big. I definitely think that's a big aspect and a big, point to actually hit on. In general, you didn't really just talk about their accomplishment that they gave you as basketball players, but actually what they did as young men to actually graduate and continue on with their path of academics and sports. So that's definitely huge, bro. That's definitely huge. But just hitting back to looking at each one of those stepping stones, bro. Like that's definitely a big aspect of coaching. Correct. Each year you have to improve or you want to be in that space, right? So what do you think helped you the most in order to help you keep improving in each one of those spaces? Because like you said, you had first assistant job, you got to see that, then right into a head job, but you didn't really get the coach, and then COVID hit and you had to manage that and like recruit. Like what you think helped you the most to the point where each year you've doubled your wins, y'all increased in every statistic that they, supposedly had y'all in.
Right.
And, continue to set records at the school that people
I think it
Never
really
thought.
goes back to even just the mental toughness, the aspects or the experiences I went through, almost having the game take away from me, and then having to go junior college and having to improve myself first as a player. When you was going through that young hooper's grind, I don't think that left me. That aspect of wanting to better myself, and then you see a light bulb go off as a player, and as I got into player development, it was that same thing, helping the other player that you're training, helping see their light bulb go off or their skill set improve. I was able to see that firsthand year after year in the summertime. I was able to do that as a player, as I had to do that for myself to get it and earn a scholarship. That never leaves. So when I was actually given the opportunity to now step outside of someone's shadows, or actually stepping for myself, I just went back to that same grind of wanting to better myself. Studying the game. You talked about the year off. I was still in the gym training or trying to be under the pros that came through the gyms. Every year in the pre-draft and just I said this now with my players now. You want our players to get better. Our coaches should get better in the summertime too.
Sure.
Coaches clinics, watching videos, breaking down your own mistakes. I'm always first one to kind of, I go back and watch my losses and see what I did wrong or what I could have scrapped. And I think that's a part of, not only a growing as a coach or as a player, it's also as a man. Being able to identify, your shortcomings, look yourself in the mirror, putting a plan together to fix them. So, year after year, granted, we recruited better players.
Right.
So that was an aspect that I want to continue to do as well.
For sure.
But the other aspect was, the non-negotiables within myself. Talking to more mentors or seeing different things that how I can be a better man or how I can be a better leader. And then I think, just the things and the aspects that I learned from Rico, from certain other mentors in terms of being personable, in terms of being, going through this myself as a player, I think it helped how I built the program. From always being able to understand that the player is a player that can continue to grow his own individual skill set without losing our team concept.
Right.
And I treat it as a true partnership. I'm only successful because you're successful.
Sure.
And I get that straight from player development, right? When you're training players and they're having success, that goes back to, the work and the grind that you put in. So I felt like that full circle, now getting the opportunity to run my own program is really what I tried to implement.
That's dope. That's dope. So being in that space of the head coach, what do you think is the hardest aspect that you had to really what you think the hardest aspect that you really had to learn, had to really like implement as a coach? You feel me? Like, because it's different from every coach. You feel me? Like, some coaches don't know how to change their tone with coaching players. You feel me? Like, one coach is this is how it's gonna be. Either you get with like what you think is the hardest thing or the hardest lesson that you had to pick up to help you improve as a coach.
Yeah. The first lesson I would say, and because of my age, I think it was in the space of certain players, especially when I was assistant coach and then transitioned to a head coach, right? They might have only seen me as an assistant coach, but now I'm a head coach, and that relationship between a player and a coach is different.
Right.
So I had to, I would say, create more boundaries in that space. But also as a head coach, I felt like it's very important to be able to have that connection with your players. And I can talk to everyone. I know certain things of how to get to this player versus this player. I say the other aspect that was probably the hardest for me is me being able to let go. Because I was kind of a control freak or wanted to be in control of everything. and you can't. You got to have a great staff. You got to have a great group around you. You know, you have to be able to, you know, give give assignments and be in trust that they're going to follow through and make that happen for your staff or for your team. So those are the two hardest things I would say was the hardest in terms of trying to make that transition as a head coach.
What you feel was the most simple in it, like was just easy for you to just step into doing? Because I mean, like I said, getting head coaching job and having to, you know, be in charge of not only, you know, 12 to 15 players, but
Right.
3, 4 other men with you on the staff. You feel me? Like what was easy for you to kind of help you in that space?
You know, it's gonna sound crazy, man, but the summers at UCLA, the hecticness, people always in your ear as I'm doing the teams, or like the craziness of a day with Rico, going to gym to this. Some of those days were just so much easier because I was only, like you said, focused on my team. The other aspect is that, like you said, it's a game that we grew up loving. I still have a infatuated love of the game with, all the way down to the X's and O's, all the way down to player styles or running certain plays. You know, so that was the fun part. You know, I could talk X's and O's till I'm blue in the face. I could, you know, be on the court with my guys because I could actually help them, you know, get better because I've helped other guys outside of this. So that was the most, I would say, the thing I look forward to doing because it was something that I was looking forward to actually putting my stamp on. Now having the opportunity to build up young men on the court, on and off, and then you know, helping them earn their degrees.
That's dope. That's dope, and I can see that when you saying that the aspect of, you know, setting up the teams and stuff going throughout the days out there with Rico with the run shot, that I could definitely see that. So definitely see how that helped you and definitely played a part into it. My next question I had, I might grab one of my cups for this one.
Oh shit!
You a coach, bro? You feel me? So I want to know if I'm gonna grab one of my cups. You feel me? Give me a nice little shot when I be getting them good questions, because you're a coach now, bro, and you know you coaching these colleges and stuff like that. You feel me? You giving out? I see a Tesla outside. You giving out them bags? I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying, bro. I want to know. You're a coach now. I mean, it's different from when I was in school and stuff like that. Man. I couldn't see nothing like that now. So I want to know, you know, they Cook giving out the bag, what now?
Oh man, you know, the resources are the resources. You know, I think we're at the NAI level. It's definitely not, you know, Division I or Division II. But I definitely don't hold a kid back from getting to that bag. So there are ways you can go get to it, especially at the NAI level as well. A little less, I would say, paperwork and different things you can do. But it's really, you know, and this is the aspect that people don't truly understand. Because it's not Division I basketball, and on that aspect of, you know, TV deals and different things like that, players that's coming down to this level, you got to have a name for yourself already. You got to have a following for yourself already, whether that's on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it is. And yes, you still can create a bag from that. And, you know, that's something that I do encourage or not hold back from, you know, these young student athletes, and knowing that I was in their position, you know, before, and having to grind and do certain things, you know, I definitely encourage different ways for them to put some money in their pockets.
For sure. So my next question with following that, do you think that hurts a program in your situation? And the reason why I say is because you look at a D1 or a D2 school, like it's D1, D2, like that is going that money that comes around there is like, it's gonna come from the program. You feel me? Like you having a name, that's gonna just get you the easier road. You feel me, to get the bag from there. But in your aspect, like just hitting back on what you just said, how they got to already have a name, a following. You feel me? It's basically got to be somebody that was supposed to be this in D1, D2 school, but now they're here.
Right.
Do you think that hurts or help programs like yours?
I think it gives athletes that second chance or that another opportunity to fall on. Oftentimes at the D1, D2 level, like if you don't fit into that box, that mold, they're on to the next guy.
Right.
And the transfer portal is not it's not nothing to play with either, right? So I think being able to find a landing spot to where young men can still grow as a player on and off the court, can still check those boxes. I think at the end of the day, a lot of the times, these young men want to be able to make sure that they have or are surrounded by people that care, and then that they have a pathway to kind of make it. So that's what I try to do. Try to show that them there's a way to still check those boxes. It might not be on the biggest scale like you were used to, but there's still a way you can still get to that end goal.
Dope. So my question from that is, you're a head coach now. I know I never experienced it because it wasn't around when I was in school. I graduated high school at the same time, 2012. Went to Louisville, 3 years there, went to the league. Won't no NIL deals, won't no transfer portal, won't no none of that happening. You feel me? If you did any of that, you was ineligible. Won't know this, that, third about it. You feel me? Won't none of this. Going to different high schools or academies, just playing basketball, getting the check, like all that's dead. So,
right.
How does you're able to use the portal, right? How does it work?
Man, in terms of the actual portal at the NAI level, there is no portal, but because of social media, because of relationships that I may have with certain coaches at the D1, D2 level, they have access to the portals.
Right.
And in social media, with nowadays, everything is put out there. The student athlete will put out, "Oh, I'm transferring," and from there, another recruiting group or this page will pick it up and post it, and then from there, it really turns into, I wouldn't say a free for all, but people will reach out to that student athlete through various aspects. For me, how I've been able to have the success has been through relationships.
Right.
Because I truly want to know who I'm dealing with, and being able to go to someone maybe that they care for, or somebody means something to them. You just know what you're gonna get, and also that same aspect of them truly, not wanting to mess up their opportunity either. I think it goes hand in hand. But for the portal, it's accessible. If I was a D1, D2 coach, I would be constantly looking at it. I think it opens up later this month as college basketball season is ending. And if you look at it right now on social media, you're seeing players jumping in right now as coaches are, losing jobs and or seasons are ending.
Right.
So it's a constant, I would say, cycle. And there's players in there now from last year that are still in there that may not have found a home.
How does that work? How does that work? If a kid transfers,
right.
Say I'm playing at UCLA.
Yeah.
I just said I'm going to UCLA. This is just finished out my senior year. I'm going to UCLA. I go to UCLA. UCLA ain't what what I'm thinking it's going to be. I say I'm going to the portal. I don't get a place to go, or no school reaches out. What happens?
That's the $1 million question.
Is he out of school?
I believe the rule, and I got to look it up one more time in terms for the NCAA, because I think this is where we benefit at the NAI level. If a kid is in the portal for, I believe, a full season and then a summer and they don't get picked up, I don't think they can go back to the D1 level. So now you're kind of forced to go NAI level, D2, or whatever else to find a spot. I realize that, and it gets crazy because the aspect of actually going to school is getting lost. The aspect of being on the court and actually playing is getting lost because
I'm lost right now. I'm lost now.
Yeah.
Like, hold on. A little alarm sound effect I got. Hold on, I had to stop it one time. Like, you said the kid goes into the portal.
Right.
If he's in the portal for a full season, and the summer he can't go back and play D1.
I believe that is the rule.
But once again, what is going on school-wise with him since he's transferred in the portal?
Yeah, you're right.
Is he still going to school? Is he has to leave the school? Like, hey,
you're supposed to be in school. You want to continue your clock in terms of helping yourself graduate.
But how is it if...
But you can take a gap year, and that's what they call it, a gap year of where you're not in school, and then you can declare residency by going to a school. Say I was in the portal and I wasn't in school, but then I end up signing with the school. I can take a 12 summer units, create a sense of residency of me going to that school, and now it's like I'm back in the flow.
Nah.
And I could be wrong in terms, and I don't want to misquote all the details of that, but I do know that
it's just saying like messy, man. This not adding up. 1 + 1 not equaling 2. I live my life on simple math now. 1 + 1 got to equal 2.
Nah, you're right.
It's not equal to 2 to me because I just don't understand how if I bring you to my school to play basketball for me, you said you're going to get into the portal. That means the scholarship is gone.
Yes, I take the scholarship.
That's what they do, right?
Correct.
So how is he still going to school?
He would have to fund it himself if he was going to continue to go to school during that.
Sorry, so for that. I'm not seeing no D1 kids doing that unless you just got that family like that before you come into the game. But
that's the issue.
It's not a lot of kids like that. You feel me? It's not a lot of kids is just getting these checks in these NILs, even when it's just freshly happened. So
yeah, no, it's gonna be some issues, I believe. Like, and you just talked about it, Trey.
Yeah, that's
like,
wild.
That everybody's only looking at this spectrum or this spectrum, and what about the guys in the middle?
Yeah,
that's not finding a home or not finding a space.
That get lost in that space or get lost in that portal. Yeah, I was kind of wondering how that kind of went. You feel me? Because that's why you just kind of shook me up right there.
It's a cycle, man. It's a crazy cycle where they're pushing guys in and out. You know, the guys that's I feel like hurting the most are high school seniors. Mm-hmm. Because college coaches are looking at other college players before even looking at a high school player.
Because kids are transferring.
Kids are transferring. You know, unless you're one of those top high school kids.
Right.
You know, I it's just the landscape right now. It's crazy.
Shit. That's tough, man. That's tough. So transferring back to you and your program, what do you look to go after to kind of just get this gonna solidify you over that hump, man? Just, you know, you kind of been in that aspect, in that situation, where you done went back to back with winning your division and getting your team into the playoffs, man. What do you look to go after in this summer that's gonna, you know, push you over that hump to make that real run and get in the tournament?
Yeah, nah, man. I wish we were playing this March and being able to get back to the national tournament. But you know, looking to
I'm sorry to cut y'all. Because how did y'all work for y'all? For the tournament. How does that work?
Cool.
Explain that to me first.
I appreciate that. So it's just like the NCAA in terms of 64 teams get their bids.
Right.
You got some bigger conferences that's gonna get like 6 teams in the tournament regardless.
Right.
Then you got smaller conferences, and that's like our conference. Our conference is the California Pacific Conference.
Uh-huh.
We get 2 teams.
Right.
The regular season champion, conference tournament champion.
Okay.
So those are the 2 bids that get to the national tournament.
Okay.
So for us, you got 2 opportunities to make it.
Right.
Last year we didn't win the regular season, but we went on a 10-game win streak and won our conference tournament.
Okay.
And that's how we were able to win that second bid.
Yeah.
This year, we were second place for the regular season. And we ended up getting a second seed for the conference tournament. We were 1 game short from being able to go.
Right.
So breaking that down. Now, looking at the landscape, because I played at the NAIA level, they show a lot of love to the teams from the Midwest and different places on that side. And my goal is to continue to create a portfolio for our players, you know, and be able to travel and do everything else. So want to put together a top level schedule.
Mhm.
Want to travel out, play some different teams in different states
Yeah.
to build up our resume, and then continue to recruit. I'm losing two of our bigs, 6'10", 6'11", two seniors, and 6 seniors total. So looking forward to replacing those guys, finding some guys to add to the guys that we have returning. And I think there is, in this space of everybody transferring and doing things, I think there's value in returners. I think there's value in being able to have a group that can stay together all summer, that can work out, go play,
For sure,
and do all those types of things to already have that edge. So that's what I'm excited about. But then I'm looking for like-minded individuals that can add to that group. Definitely on the look for some bigs. I'm looking at the time right here. One of my top junior college big plays tonight.
Okay.
So I want to go watch him.
All right, man. I'll make sure you get out of here for that. Oh, I got you.
Yes,
I got you.
Yes, sir. But that's what the game is, man. I really just want to find guys that, number one, I'm always humbled as a coach to have a player to come play for me, but then also that they can see value in playing for me, and that they can see themselves growing. So trying to find like-minded individuals that want to get on this journey with us, as we try to continue to create history at a smaller school that doesn't necessarily get the notoriety as these other schools.
For sure. Got 2 more questions, and then you feel me. I'm gonna let you go catch your player. So my next question is, explain the NAIA how. So y'all play to get in for the national tournament. That's what it's called.
Correct.
Because I played at Louisville, so I don't know how like
no doubt
D2 and the NAIA work. I got homies that played on that level. You feel me? I got a young boy that from my city now. He played you heard the school of Catawba.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he plays there, and they just won back to back their conference at a regular season joint. So I see it, but I don't know really kind of how it works. So explain how it goes and like kind of what y'all are playing for. You feel me? Like what's y'all NCAA for?
Yeah, man. So and this is the part where I believe, because of my exposure to the highest level and seeing certain things, I don't look at our school as an NAIA program for that reason. I really consider it's like a D2 school because of the schedule we play. So to start off the year, and you're probably familiar with this at Louisville, you got some bye games, playing some smaller teams.
Yeah.
I play
schools like that. Yeah.
I play like 3 or 4 of those a year.
Okay.
Right. So to give our guys that experience to play at the D1 level. So this year we played 3 games that were all on ESPN.
Yeah. That's dope though. That's different though. Like even with that aspect, you're playing up, so guys can get seen. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and keep going, but that's big for sure.
That's huge. Like you just talked about it, because I talk about it, and I'll get back to the season, but I want to really create a portfolio. And the only way to do that is to be able to have access to play Division I, get those stats, get film, and then obviously when we play our own level, you're able to compare, contrast, see the same thing, because you're not competing against your own level for jobs if you want to be a pro. Right. I'm using my own experience and going to do different things. Like, you're competing against other Division II, Division I guys that may not make it to the top level for the same jobs.
For sure.
So the only way you can do that is to actually have a portfolio saying, hey, when I did play against D1, I did X, Y, Z. Yeah. And then when we played our level, we won. I shot X percentage, whatever it is.
For sure.
And now you're actually giving yourself opportunity for scouts, for everybody else. So that's my goal because of where I'm at right now. Now, bringing it back to our team, we talked about playing up. Playing against Division I team not only gets you seen, but also gets you prepared.
For sure.
And to see the highest level, the physicality, the skill level, it gets us ready when we play against our own level.
Yeah.
So I'm always play about 3 to 4 games a year that are always Division I or Division II. This year we scrimmaged against Cal State Dominguez, which was a closed scrimmage, which is a Division II.
Yep. And
they actually won their conference tournament this year, their championship. And from there, then we play a bunch of NAIA schools. So this year I took my team to Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Last year, we went to Denver, Colorado and played some teams. And like I talked about, trying to create that experience, and then also a portfolio to play against Division One, Division Two, and then NAIA schools. Yeah. So as we play through there, we have a conference. We have a 20-game conference schedule. Played every team home and away. In our conference, we had teams in Arizona and all up and down California. So we go as far as Redding, California, which is far above Sacramento. We was in the middle of California, like Merced, and we was in the Bay and Vallejo. And then we go all the way down to like San Diego. Then we go to Arizona. There's a couple teams out there as well. So 20-game conference schedule. And then like I talked about, right, there's 2 teams that will ultimately be able to go to the national tournament. National tournament is just like it is at the NCAA level. Right. They got regionals, and they got the different spots where all the teams will go. Sweet 16, Elite 8, and everything like that. Okay. So at our level, and I was fortunate enough to experience this as a player before they combined the leagues. So when I was at the NAI level as a player, they had Division 1 and Division 2. Now it's just one division. Okay. So now it's a total 64 teams that get to go to the tournament, just like the NCAA. Okay. Last year when we went to the national tournament, our first stop was to go to Idaho. This year, the 2 teams that are from the tournament, they're going to Arizona. So different pockets where teams will get to travel, and you're ultimately playing for the national tournament championship. The game will be televised on ESPN, and you're playing for a red banner. That red banner is huge. It's everything at the NAIA level in terms of obviously you'll have the championship, but that banner you can put it up in your gym, and it signifies national champion.
That's hard, bro. Like I never knew that. You feel me? Like I kind of thought it was just like the NCAA, and then you got like the NIT. Like you feel me? Like I didn't know like the whole NIA rules and kind of like how y'all are basically set like y'all own March Madness. You feel me? Like that's hard. You feel me? That's hard. And then like y'all said y'all play the 20 home way doing it. Like that's tough. That's tough. You feel me? I don't know if we do that. I think we either pick who gets home or who gets away that year, if I'm not mistaken. As far as like D1, wow. When I was in school with it, I'm almost positive we didn't play like we definitely didn't do it when I was in the ACC. We didn't play like we played the teams, but it's either like we was at home or they was at home.
Got you.
Like it's kind of as far as conference got into it. Yeah. It's like either we was home or they was home.
And so, like you said, man, imagine you see that team twice in the season, and then you might see that same team in a tournament.
Yeah, that's tough.
There's some bad blood. There's some different things where, obviously, I believe it creates for a competitive environment.
For sure, and it builds that rivalry, that kind of chemistry, that atmosphere. You feel me? That we was kind of talking about earlier, as far as like what LA basketball kind of is, bro. So that's dope as well. For sure. Last question I got, man, is basically just, it's like our closing question I do with every one of our guests, man. Tell the people who Jerred Cook is, who he is as a, whatever you want people to know, person, a coach, a basketball player, a son, whatever you want people to know, man, because that's what this podcast is about, man. That's why I call it The Real You with Monsta, bro. Everybody kind of got their narratives of who Jay Cook is, you feel me? The guy that helps Rico, this, that, and the third, man. You never know, but tell me right now what you want people to know who Jerred Cook is.
Man, first off, Trez, appreciate you for having me.
For sure, my guy.
Giving me this space, this platform, man. I'm indebted to you. I think we spend a lot of time, a lot of hours together, so that love is genuine. Who is Jay Cook? To some, the guy you might see on YouTube. The guy that's shouting out the teams with Rico. To Rico's friends, they call me Little Rico sometimes. But man, I'm human. Man, I'm a young black man navigating through this world. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I have and hold a lot of people dear. I am a product of a lot of great men that have instilled hard work and pride and dignity in myself and just in our last name. And from that, I believe that I carry myself with a sense of quiet confidence, not overly boisterous, but I feel like on the court or in certain pockets I can. Um, I love the game of basketball. Um, I truly want to see, and I try to see the best in people, almost to a fault. I'm loyal, almost to a fault. Uh, you know, yes, I'm a trainer. Yes, I'm a coach. Yes, I'm a teacher. Yes, um, I feel like I can be an advocate or a bigger brother to these young men. I can play a father role at times. I do not have any kids yet, but I look forward to being a father.
Sure.
Um, I live by this thing, especially towards the game of basketball, where I said this growing up, and it was able to hold true for me, which is use the game of basketball as a vehicle to take you where you want to go.
Right.
And I think truly I've been able to live that out. Fortunate enough to go to Africa, to go to Japan, to travel and play basketball in the Midwest as a LA kid.
Right.
I've played against high level players on the court. I've helped train the top of the best of the best.
Sure.
I felt like, because of all of my experiences and who I've been around and seeing them give, it's only right that I do the same and help create, make the place better after me, or leave it better than the way that I found it. So man, I'm a guy that loves shoes. I do like to get dressed, and I like to play video games at times, kick with friends, heavy in the music and this and that part, and I think all the intangibles and the simple things, you'll find come back to me being a hooper at heart,
right,
and the love of the game. So.
For sure, man. Well, that's a great one that we had here, y'all. We got my boy Jerred Cook here, man. Like I said, thank you for coming out. I'm about to let my boy get off and, get his coaching thing still going, man. He got another player. He always working, as y'all can see. I was blessed to, like I told y'all earlier, meet this guy along my journey in the game of basketball. Still work with him to this day. Him and Rico. It's definitely, like I said, a great honor to have you here, brother. I thank you for coming up here, being a guest.
Here, man.
For sure, man. And that's all we have for today. This is The Real You with Monsta. Thank you for being here, Jay Cook. We out.
Peace.